2, and 1.
Welcome to The Game Case, a show for, well, anyone that plays World of Warcraft. The show rife with ramblings, tips, tricks, and goings-on in WoW. Here's your host, Chris Case.
Well, hello, hi, howdy, and welcome to episode 40. That's right, we're getting old, folks, of The Game Case. I am Chris, also known as Cuddles, a brewmaster monk on Airy Peak in the Convert to Raid Guild. It's the second week in a row I can't read. This week, we're going to talk a little bit about our week in Blizzard gaming, cover some Blizzard news, and then we're going to talk a little bit about how WoW has changed over the years, because tonight I have the honor of not only the host of one of the longest running WoW podcasts in existence, he also has the honor of being the first Horde on the show.
Oh, nice.
And someone I am very proud to call my friend, the inestimable Rewt. Rewt, how are you doing tonight, my friend?
You know, I'm doing great, and you know, you mess up Airy Peak, but you can say inestimable. That's
I know, right?
So yeah, I'm doing great. It's an honor to be here, man. It's and really, you know, it's 40. Congrats on that. That's awesome. And yeah, I was gonna retire at 40 once.
I think we all were. Oh man. Well, see, no, he says congratulations for 40. But you actually, let's go ahead and get this out of the way. You just passed a recent, like, small milestone. It was, like, 43? Was it 40?
Yeah, 48.
Or
48.
Was it 300 episodes?
It was 300. We've been doing this for about 7 years now. So it was 300 episodes, yep.
Wow. So you're now, no, that's old news. You're already past that. You got 302s now out?
Yes, 302's out. Freck's been sick all week, so we didn't get to 303 this week, but we'll have that next week if she's feeling better. We'll get back to that. So,
right on. And Freck, if you are listening, I'm sure you're curled up in bed with a warm bowl of soup and napping, or I hope you are. But we miss you. I'm sorry you couldn't make it, and please feel better, ma'am. So, Rewt, I want to first of all, I want to thank you for taking some time out of your extremely full schedule, but How was your week of life this week?
Week of life was great, actually. At work, it's kind of bizarre because I had a little bit of a career shift, and now I am a technology manager is what my title is. But I'm responsible for a lot of the social media and online marketing for the company I work for, which is new to them, and it's new to this industry that I'm in. And so I'm like blazing through stuff, and all my statistics from the weeks before are like triple or quadruple digit improvements, which looks really good, but that's going to top out at some point in time. And we had this awesome big corporate meeting, and I got pulled into the corporate meeting to just because they don't know what I do. They can't describe my job. So they just know that it works, and the numbers are up, and the phones are ringing. And so they come in and go, we don't know what he does, but we think he's doing it well. We'll let him talk about it. And so I get to talk about cool stuff. And not only, here's the cool thing about this, the industry that I'm in is, or the place I work with, the non-fear that they have. We just started a podcast for that niche. And there's a handful of them. It's not many, and they're not good. And so we started a business like, you know, it's the trucking industry, which I know nothing about. And we started a podcast for that, and it's already doing really well. We're in 4 episodes in, so it's awesome.
Oh, that's great. Taking your podcasting experience and bringing it into like your professional life.
Yeah, well, I mean, I got to get some more use out of the studio. So
There you go. That's awesome. Now,
what about you? How's your week been, man?
It has been wonderful. So last weekend we had the CTR Central Florida meetup.
How good was that?
At Mr. Dunderback's. Oh my gosh. I think we had like 20, maybe 22 people there.
I thought it was more like 30. I thought maybe I counted wrong, but I thought it was more like 30 people.
There was
way too
lot
full
of
tables.
people there. We were once the old people got out of our way.
Well, that was a Convert to Jared's guild that was there. So
yes, that was our retiree section.
Yeah, CTG.
Yep. They mostly play undead. I don't know why. It's kind of morbid. No, No, but so we all get in there. It was kind of funny because I had talked to the restaurant beforehand. I had it all set up that we were going to have that room that we ended up in, which for those that weren't there is a little room off to the side with 2 long tables that seat 16 each. Now, one of the things that I mentioned to them, they were like, "Oh, well, they seat 16. You could probably squeeze 20 in." I was like, "No, we're World of Warcraft players.
We have girth.
We're some stout individuals." But we did. We squeezed like 17 into the table because they'd given away the other table. They got like the day before, they got kind of like sketch about it. And I didn't talk about this anywhere because I wasn't going to talk down the meetup ahead of time. But now that it's happened, I walked in there and I didn't even know if we were going to get a table.
Oh, wow.
So we walked in, we got one of the tables, and then there were these old people at another table. And man, you want to talk about taking a leisurely dinner. So we met at 4:00. At 3:30, I show up, and they were eating until like 6:30 or 7.
It takes them a while to chew that food, man.
They were, you know what? I could have brought a blender.
Is all the soup they had, right?
Yeah, I don't know what, but they got up. We had a great time. We had Root and Freckleface showed up with the Orlando WoW meetup crew, which was awesome. We had Navox and Belschnickel from the Converted and formerly from the Converted. We had Daikatsu, formerly of Monk Meditation, was there. All sorts of guildies. Chief Vol'jin was actually there. Although
I didn't realize that.
Yes, I don't know which one he was, but he claims he was there. He claims he was there, and he did sign up. So there was a ticket for Vol'jin, and then he claims so I don't know. No, Chief Vol'jin, you have eluded us once again. So well
Nerdy
played,
Char was there from Hotscast. She was there.
Yes. It was like it was this great, like just amazing gathering of folks. We ate German food. We drank German beer. We hugged. It was a really good time. I think our farthest traveler came all the way from Melbourne. Mm-hmm. So almost a 3-hour drive. Like,
oh, I thought they were from Australia. I was totally confused.
It was a 26-hour flight, 8 exchanges. They spent 2 days in Singapore.
That's right.
It was insane. See, you laugh, but we actually have in CTR, we have a wonderful guildie by the name of Tuli Bardeen, and or Stefan, and he is from Sweden.
Nice.
He is actually in San Antonio, Texas right now at PAX South.
Jealous.
In
jealous.
2 months, 3 months, we will be together lifting a beverage in Boston for PAX East.
Very cool.
Then he'll be over for a movie meetup. Then he'll be back for BlizzCon.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of miles. I hope he's getting some like really good freaking flyers on that one because
oh yeah,
that's going to add up. He's going to be like Sky Mile Club Gold or whatever it is.
Well, that's what I bragged about going last year. I went to Wisconsin for a WoW meetup, and I bragged about that until I found out that we have a guy that comes from Sweden and everything.
Yeah.
So I'm going to shut up. But okay, so outside of life, what about Blizzard Gaming? What did you get into this week, Mr. Root?
Well, I'm still doing, I play a little bit of HOTS, play a little bit of everything. So I'm playing a little bit of HOTS. I'm still just sticking with Lily now. I kind of switched over from her to her. Really, I like support in that game. So I play, a little bit of that. I'm working on what I got now, my just 3 100s in WoW. But I'm really right now kind of obsessed with completing, is it 1,000 ship missions I need now to get some, it's my last shipyard achievement. And okay. I'm done with the shipyard. So I'm like obsessed with getting that done. And it's been about it, just those two. So yeah. What about you?
Well, I got in some good time with Bacon and Kegs this weekend. We are they're actually 13 of 13 heroic. They have 1 Archie kill, not with me, which of course I go away for the weekend. And they get the Archie kill. So we had 2 days of rough, frustrating progress on Archie, but progress. I used my Legion boosted me a subtlety rogue, little cute little green haired gnome. He stabs.
Oh yeah, I saw your Twitter screenshot of that.
Yep. He has a cute little. His name right now is Cuddles in Italian, but we're going to change that. I won't say what because I don't want anybody to go sit on it. But thank you, huge thank you with that to Rubber Chicken Coalition for taking the time to carry my 640 Rogue through Hellfire Citadel all the way through Kilrog with my startling 14k DPS. It was incredible. I was really contributing a lot. I picked up one piece of gear, and it was the worst piece of gear that I could have gotten out of the entire instance. It's like, put this on if you have to. So I did, because it's a 30 item level upgrade. But
now you've got your ahead of the curve now already, don't you? Where'd you get your moose mount?
No, I don't. They killed Archie without me.
Oh,
So
no
I have had a couple offers to go on carries, and I've turned them down because I know that there's folks out there that are not rating heroic right now that will not have the opportunity.
Okay.
So since I'm on a team that's pushing it, we will get Archie. I'm going to scream. I'm going to throw some things. If anybody, I think I deleted the replay of both of those days because I thank God my mic is pushed to talk, because I think I was saying horrible things about everyone, including myself, on my raid team those 2 days. It's just, I don't like, I know mythic guilds get out there and they wipe hundreds and hundreds of times. I don't know how, man. About 15, I'm done.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It requires, it's a whole different mindset. It's expected when we, when us non-professional gamers, if you will, when we raid, we just want to get it done. Our goal at the end of the night is to either progress as far as we can or actually get that kill. And so that's our mindset. Whereas these mythic raiders, they know they're going to wipe.
Yeah.
And they learn from every wipe. It's just a different mindset. But I mean, the guild I was with, or the raiding team I was on rather, it suffered what a lot of people suffer in WoW, that as soon as you get that, the last boss down, you're done.
Yep.
And that's what happened. And, I'm getting invites for different raid. It was an open raid group, and we got it all done and then done. So
yeah,
a little sad not raiding, but it's okay because I got my cool moose mount. So
nice. Well, that's what we've been talking about. I think we're gonna do alt runs. We're gonna run back and do we're gonna do achievements out of BlackRock, and we have some things planned with that team. Good. It's definitely it's a Saturday and Sunday morning team. So we raid at 8 a.m. Saturday and Sunday morning.
Farming it.
Yeah. I will tell you, once we get Archie down, I may choose to sleep in a little bit more than I do now.
Oh, yeah. I'm telling you, Will, it's going to fall apart. It's going to happen.
I'll be back. Like, we'll raid and we'll have fun, but, a little bit less motivation to wake up first thing on Saturday morning.
We do it 9:30, 10 o'clock, a little brunch hours.
Well, we've actually pushed back already. We used to start at 7.
Holy cow. Yeah, that's a little early.
Yeah, well, what's nuts is we have West Coast folks that it's 4 a.m.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And there's like people waking up and raiding it. They're like, yeah, I wake up and raid and then I go back to sleep.
Dude, some other little guilty pleasures, a game called Arma 3. It's a military combat simulator. And I was on what's called a realism group, which you take things like super serious. So if our mission orders were to leave at 3 a.m., you were getting online and getting together at like 2:50 in the morning to get together to go somewhere at 3 a.m. I mean, it was realism. So I only did that a little bit. I'm like, you know what, guys? There's this thing I have called life that I really need to get back to.
Yeah, like I have to work so that I can afford to play this game.
Now Arma's $60. Pay it once you're done. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's internet and like electricity and food and things.
Oh, yeah.
My job pays for those. But
they're just a little too real. I'm like, I want to go kill dragons now. Can I go do that, guys?
I'm gonna go be a goblin now.
That's right.
So yeah. Right.
So I'm your first horde guest.
You are my first horde guest.
How did that happen?
You're my first guest that I know plays almost exclusively horde. Now I have had Ro has been on the show, which I think he hordes a little.
I'm pretty sure he does.
And so does Zia has been on the show, which I believe she hordes, but not exclusively.
All right. I mean, I've got an alliance, and I've got a what is he? Druid, Worgen Druid. So,
okay. Well, that's the majority of my guests come from CTR.
True.
And that's what not because I've designed it that way, but good Lord, there's almost 9,000 of us. We get a couple people that want to say some things, so it's kind of been that way. So you're my first official Hordy. So you get the Horde background.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Yeah.
I think that's Orgrimmar.
I can see it. Looks.
I've never been there.
Really?
I've never been to Orgrimmar.
Wow.
So I don't. It's getting to be that time. I'm ready to roll a Hordy.
You should. I mean, it's really cool because I started Alliance and we maxed my characters. We were both Freckleface and I were both gnomes, and we got all the way in. I think it was Wrath, or no, it was Dragon Soul. Listen to me, Cataclysm. I had to look at my Cataclysm poster on the wall. And in Cataclysm, we switched over, and when we decided to go Horde to join some friends on a Horde server, Freckleface's only rule for me was I had to go gnome. Or rather, had to go goblin. I had to keep a small character. I couldn't go because I was looking at, the Taurens, everybody else. She's like, no, you got to keep it small. So goblin it was. So and that was cool. But you get a whole different vantage point of the story. A lot of the quests now, it's been homogenized. It's all the same. But at least the dialogue is different. And you do get a little bit of a different viewpoint, and cutscenes are always a little bit different. So yeah, it's good to do.
But everything's so ugly and dirty and has spikes on it.
Yeah, but it just
bothers me aesthetically.
Okay, I'll give you that until you get used to it, and then you're like, everything's just so tough. And when you look at it on the Alliance side, you're like, yeah, it's shiny, but it's got no spikes. So it just kind of changes,
Oh, I love it. I just did the so with my rogue, I have to go through and do all the WoD starting zone to non-quests. Right. And I did the one where you go out to Iron Docks and you take the shipbuilder guy, and you have to go over to the balcony and you have to shoot the grappling hook up.
Yeah.
And
were you flying?
No, I see. If you fly up there, it doesn't trigger. You still have to grapple.
Right.
So he grapples, and he's like, "This is why you put spikes on buildings."
There you go. See,
this is awesome. That was one of the coolest little like dialogue things I've heard in quite some time. But so other than that, Hearthstone, time walking, HOTS, just kind of doing a little bit of everything.
Very cool.
So with all that, why don't we dive into the Blizzard news? And now for news from all things Blizzard. All right, so new alpha build is out.
Nice.
We got no keeping with the tradition and what we've been doing here. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about it. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. I don't know how any of my listeners want to be exposed to this. So we'll try to stay away from spoilers. I will say Subtlety, Arms, and Resto are out. So Rogue, whatever Arms is, and Shaman. Arms, Warrior? Is that a Warrior thing?
Yeah, it's a Warrior.
Okay. So Subtlety, Arms, and Resto are out. There's a bunch of other stuff that's leaked out. If you're in search of that, WoW Head or MMO Champion. They're going to cover it a lot better than I will here, guys. I will say I'm super excited about Subtlety Rogue. That's what I'm playing right now. I'm really, really curious to see how they've changed it and what's coming out. I did have the chance to dive in and play some Windwalker Monk. Went out and got the artifact weapons, which are super cool. Windwalker is still really fun. They have changed it a little bit, but it's still super fun. Still remains kind of true to what I would think of it. Now, have you been watching or paying any attention to alpha?
I'm following it. I've got the alpha. I'm in the alpha, and I ran into this. It's dumb, but I ran into this thing where I almost installed another hard drive on my computer. And by that, I mean, I physically installed it, but I didn't connect the whole. I stopped at 95% of the installation. I just didn't plug the data cable in. And so I get the download notification for the alpha. I'm like, oh, sweet. I click the button. It's like, yeah, no, you don't have enough room. I'm like, what do you mean I don't have room? That's a 3 terabyte drive. And I look in there and go, oh, I have to connect this. So then it took me 2 weeks to get, bother to connect the thing. So I've got it downloaded. It just did an update, which you just talked about, but I haven't actually launched to play it yet. So that's on my list of to-dos when I have some time to do.
Nice. Now you play a mage or warlock?
There you go.
Warlock. Okay. The Freckleface plays a mage. No?
She plays a hunter.
I play.
No,
Hi, this is Rootin' for. I play a goblin mage.
No,
I
Goblin
swear
Warlock.
somebody says goblin mage.
No, it's Goblin Warlock. We've been doing this, how many years? Goblin Warlock, Goblin Mage.
Are you sure?
No, Goblin. No, she's a hunter. She's a hunter, dude. She has all the pets. She's like pet crazy. She's like, she's the old cat lady. She's got that title. That's what she does.
For some reason, I thought, okay.
We both have Blood Elf mages. Hers is Hair So Soft, and mine is Fruit. So you might be confused on that a little. I don't know.
Okay. See, like, is what's out like is your spec? Is your like no?
Nah, we're broken. We're broken. So
nah.
Now, the last time I checked the patch notes on it, like I say, this new one just came out. I did not read the patch notes on it yet, so I don't know if we're still broken, but we were. I'm on the fence. I'm one of those guys who's like, okay, I have access to it, but how much do I really want to get into it before I experience it for real?
Yeah.
I might get in just to check on, like, graphics might interest me. I know, like, well, you guys are super cool, and you actually brought the alpha to the meetup, and you actually let people experience who did not have access to the alpha. They got to play Demon Hunters, and that was, like, super cool at the meetup. And, I would do that, but I don't want to get too far into it because it's bad enough for me to, like, level an alt and go, man, I've done this before. I don't want to have that experience when Legion releases and me go, oh, man, I've done this before. I don't want that.
Oh, that's great. Now, I hadn't even thought about that because I'm definitely that way. Like, I haven't leveled more alts just because I'm like, I don't want to go through all that questing again. That sounds silly.
So stick in, do a little bit like, I wonder how this is going to work, and leave it at that. Don't start completing quests. Don't like be a completionist in an alpha. Get in the alpha, test different things out. Do some farming, do some camping or some rares or whatever, just to kind of figure stuff out. Leave it at that. Get the feel for gameplay without ruining the experience of the entire gameplay.
I'm gonna have to keep that in mind. I will tell you one thing that has greatly aggravated me about the alpha.
What's that?
Which, first of all, Blizzard, thank you for getting me into the alpha. I don't know how that happened, but I'm loving it.
You're welcome.
I did not know mounts. You get all of them.
In the alpha, you do, yes.
You have any idea how aggravating that is for somebody that has 45 mounts to now be able to get on any of them and then log back into the regular game and be like, oh, I can get on my purple griffin.
What, have you gone on the Time Lost Proto Drake and all the ones you'll never ever get in the game?
I got on the one that I really want in the game that I may never get, and that's the camel.
Oh, okay.
I really
farmed
want
that
the
thing
camels.
for years.
I really want the camel. And they actually, I don't know if it's everyone, but my title was Camel Hoarder.
Right, yep.
So it was
that's
Alpha
what everybody's
Cuddles the camel. Yeah, I think that was and I was like, that's the title that I want. And so yeah, thank you, Alpha, for teasing me. That was quite nice.
Yeah, a lot of times what people do, as soon as they get in the alpha, they'll screenshot themselves on all these rare mounts, and then they keep that, and they go, yeah, I got that. Here's my screenshot. I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way. I don't believe screenshots in WoW anymore, so.
Oh, no, Squinty, the Proto Drakes are still around. They're just very hard to get. Most of them. There are some mounts that have disappeared, my friend.
You're retired, a lot of them do.
Oh, yeah. Now, Heroes PTR is out. Li Ming and Zool are out there. I don't think I've ever downloaded the Heroes PTR. I love the game, have a lot of fun, but I'm not so into it that I'm going to download the PTR. The cool thing is we are getting to see some gameplay. There's some videos out there. People are streaming it. I have seen the Celestial Chariot mount for Li Ming. I don't know if you've seen this thing.
I have not, no.
Somebody was drunk when they were designing this or just had really bad taste. It is the most horrible looking thing I have ever seen in Heroes of the Storm. It is horrible. And guys, I don't normally like get salty, but like this is just bad. It's not. I should have pulled up a picture of it, but go check it out, guys. It's not good. But also the in the live game, the Space Lord Leoric skin is out. Just super cool, kind of a Vader-ish or Darth Maul-ish Leoric, which from what I hear, he actually has the most spoken like flavor text in the game. He talks more than any other hero, and which is kind of cool. I don't know about you, but I love turning up the volume and listening to the banter back and forth between the heroes.
I am exact opposite. I turn mine off. because it distracts me and then it makes you screw up. And I'm like, nah, I've got stuff to do. I get very serious about like healing. And so if they're talking, I'm like, shut up, I'm trying to heal you. And so I don't want to get mad at the characters. So I just turn all that mess off, man.
Nice. I can see Root's just getting mad at them. But like, fine, I'm not healing you anymore. I told you to shut up.
That's right.
Jeez. I need some heals over here. No, your character wouldn't shut up.
That's right.
Not gonna
Every
happen.
time I clicked on them, they were talking back to me and they said, no more. Done with you.
Well, really cool news that came out of Heroes today as well, which I know I'm pumped about. Heroes of the Dorm.
Nice.
Coming
Excited
back.
about this.
No, did you watch the first one?
I caught like one or two of the first episodes that they were streaming, and then I just, for some reason, it just was off my radar. And until they started making a big deal about it towards BlizzCon, and then I caught up, with just reading about it. So, but I got time now, and it's on my schedule to watch this time, because a lot of times also like the first season, they're like, let's just see if it works. When it does work, then they correct the mistakes from season one, everything that was kind of wrong, and they throw a little money towards it to make it even better. So I am really looking forward to season 2 being a better production and just better all around. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Oh yeah, I did get to catch season 1, and I have to tell you, my wife, who you had the opportunity to meet over the weekend.
Oh yeah, and little mini me was there.
Yep,
yeah.
Cuddle Kid.
What a cute baby too.
Cuddle Kid was wandering around,
and it looks like he looks like a little larger version of the Gerber baby, or any of the kids from like the old sitcoms from the 80s,
like
when
the
they had like a little
kids.
No, not the garbage sitcoms. Like if there's ever like a little kid in a sitcoms, that is Cuddle Jr.'s there. He's got the hair. It's just perfect. I'm like, the kid belongs in the 80s sitcoms, and no, not the Garbage Pail Kids.
He is totally adorable, and I completely
totally
blame the milkman.
And without just okay, if there was ever a white kid on the Cosby Show, that's your son. That's so
that's awesome. All right, there we go. I got a white Cosby. So my wife does not watch video games. She doesn't play video games. She has nothing to do with video games. I mean, she doesn't like dislike them, but it's just not her. It's not her gig. So she came in when the last Heroes of the Dorm was on. I have a big screen TV as my fourth monitor, and I had it up there. I had the speakers going, and she watched it. She's like, "What are you?" Because I was screaming and yelling and like throwing popcorn at the screen, and she's like, "What are you doing? What is going on?" I was like, "It's Heroes of the Dorm. It's esports. This is," and she's watching it. She's like, "This is like football. This is like ESPN," because there was like announcers and they were wearing ties and suits and just super high production value. Wonderful, wonderful event, guys. Go check this out. The coolest part about it is it's all college kids. Hence Heroes of the Dorm, and the winner ends up with the rest of their college paid for.
Right, they take care of all their education, room, board, you name it, it's taken care of.
Yeah, which that's pretty nuts for playing video games. That's an incredible prize. Now, the one little bit of QQ that I did hear about this was Forecourt Jester, one of the kind of the premier casters out there, one of my favorites, had tweeted that there's only going to be the Final Four, or whatever they happen to call the Final Four, in studio. The rest of them are going to be, I don't know if they're going to be playing from their respective colleges or how they're going to handle it, but they're only going to do 4 in studio. I don't know if that's going to change. I don't know if that, but that, like you said, increased production values. You're thinking bigger and better, and now maybe they're taking it a little bit away from the big arena. It seemed a little weird to me, but at the same time, you're also asking a bunch of college kids to travel across the nation, so maybe that's a factor in it. Either way, it's going to be awesome.
We'll have to stay tuned and see how it turns out. So I think it's going to be awesome, like you said. The production value is going to increase, and we'll just see how they pull it off.
Oh yeah, that's what I don't care whether they can do it out of a shack in Las Cruces. I'll watch it. So outside of that, there hasn't been a whole lot of Blizzard news. So that's gonna bring us right on in to the meat and potatoes of the show. And now for the meat and potatoes.
Okay, here we go.
All right. So this week, since I have the honor of having a true WoW celebrity in Rewt, I thought we'd talk a little bit about WoW, how your outlook, how the game itself, and maybe even a little bit how your show, Hearthcast, has changed over the last, 7 years that you've been doing that?
Yeah.
So,
go ahead.
how long have you been playing WoW?
I came on. I'm not like a true vanilla baby. I came on right towards the third quarter of vanilla. So that was been around for a while.
37 minutes, by the way, folks. It took him 37 minutes to tell us that he played since vanilla. I just want to timestamp that. Just saying.
We've told that joke several times. How do you know someone played since vanilla? They'll tell you.
Yep.
But it was really unusual. I got into it because I used to play EverQuest, and a buddy of mine said, EverQuest kind of died out for us. So a buddy of mine said, yeah, I think I really enjoy WoW. And I got into it and have enjoyed it ever since. And you talk about stuff changing. We just did this, and it was a joy to do the homework on this, and we're still not done with it yet. We went through and started with patch notes from alpha and went through all major, and we cherry picked the funny ones out that were funny to us, of different patch notes all the way up until the end of vanilla. I think we might have gotten a little bit into BC, but just as you talk about the game changing, when you used to die, everything you had took a 100% durability loss.
What?
You died, all your stuff broke. You had to go get repairs. And I think a lot of that mentality is actually carried over until today, because I don't know how many times I've been in a raid with somebody that we wipe and they're like, oh, I need to go repair. Like, you just repaired. You don't need to go repair again. And the drunk stuff, that one makes me laugh. Every time there's a patch note that the drunk effect has been greatly increased, that's serious business there.
Oh, that's great. So all the way from vanilla all the way up through WoD, do you have a favorite like expansion? Is there one that stands out, something that was like better than the rest, or maybe just like holds a special place in your heart?
They're each different for me for different reasons. Obviously vanilla, being new was cool. Not understanding. I remember when Burning Crusade came out, the idea of the expansion somehow missed me. Like, wait, I got to spend more money in this game. I just bought this game because I was, third quarter into this thing. So that was kind of an aggravating expansion for me. I did not care for Outlands at all. I was half the time I was nauseated with the color schemes and the tilted landscapes. That just really bugged me. Going into Wrath was fantastic, and I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. It's when I first started getting into raiding, and so that was my grouping with friends in Wrath and raiding with friends in Wrath that I knew in real life, and realizing that it wasn't a stigma to tell somebody you played WoW. And that's when the podcast started coming around that time too, or I guess there's a little bit in BC. And then really getting serious in Cataclysm. In Cataclysm, I got in with a fantastic guild, the Hordleys. It was over on Deathwing. Training dummies. That's where they came from. Rob and Hen were in my guild back there. And, just us going through and actually completing. That was the first time I actually completed in-game content, defeating Deathwing on time when we're supposed to do it. And that was great. And then Mop, had left the Hordleys, joined another guild. I was doing a lot of stuff with Open Raid. So each expansion has just been different for me, and they all just hold a special place for different reasons for me, without getting too sentimental. But I think one of the biggest things that I've enjoyed over the every single one is how the game engine has changed and how they've pulled more out of it and how they've increased the polygon count and made the graphics better. And my gosh, when I was, when they increased what water looked like and how water worked, and that was such a huge deal. And I was like, that is a huge deal, water. And people were like, you're crazy about water. I'm like, but look at it, it's water. And you want, especially if you're like a great screen, good resolution, you go out to a field and you watch the grass wave in the wind. I mean, that's cool. So that's everything's different for me for every expansion. So
right on. Now you touched on it a little bit, that the podcast came about in like BC
2009. So whatever expansion was out then.
Okay. Now what? no, Obviously, like right now, we're in an atmosphere where there's, I don't know, 74, 75 WoW podcasts going on right now. There's a lot of podcasts, a lot of people talking about it. No, you and Freckleface have been together in podcasting on that show since the beginning.
Yeah.
It's been you two. No changes in hosts. No, like it didn't used to be like Zidier and Lim.
No.
I don't know where I was going with that. Jeez. There's times where I really regret doing a live show, and it's when I say things like that. Man. But no, y'all have been doing this show together for 7 years. How did it come about, and what was the landscape of WoW podcast back then?
So I remember the night that I first had the idea for the podcast. I had my own business, and we were doing basically this circuit where we were going to all these different conventions. And I was playing WoW, but we'd be down the convention floor, doing our thing, and then go up for dinner and go up to the hotel room for just kill for the night. And I'd started listening to different WoW podcasts. Instance was the first one I ever listened to. And I remember Scott Johnson talking, and this is back, Randy Deluxe was on his show, and some other folks were on his show, and they're talking about rating, and it was like, I'm like, I don't understand the words these guys are saying. What's going on? And then I found some other podcasts, and I'm like, okay, I understand what these guys are saying, because they're talking more to my level, more about, little starting, because I wasn't rating at the time. So this is more about stuff that's going on in the game, more about your characters. I remember listening to Big Red Kitty, and he would do like these deep dives into the talent builds for a hunter. And I'm like, that's just insane. What is, so I was like, all right, where do you fit and what's missing here? And the company that I had at the time was in a marketing company. And so I was very much in the, find a need, fill a need type mentality. And I'm like, there's nothing that's really speaking to a truly casual player right now in words and terms they can understand. So I said, all right, that's what I'm going to fill. And I knew at that point in time, I'd been doing podcasting before then. In fact, I have a great story about that for later, but I knew I wanted a female co-host, and I said, now I have to find one. And how do you do that? Because everybody knows girls don't play WoW. So that was going to be challenge number one. And
there's no women on the internet. Rule 7. So
through a mutual friend of Freckleface's and mine, who we've had on the show before, he used to play a hunter, and I was talking to him, and somehow he'd found out that I played WoW, and it was one of those things. He's like, "Oh, you play WoW?" And I was like, "Yeah." And so that's kind of cool. And he goes, "Well, Cannon Face, who's Freckleface's husband, he goes, Cannon Face plays WoW." I was like, "No, I didn't know that." And he goes, "Yeah, and so does Freckleface." I was like, "Really?" And so, gears are turning. I'm like, there's a girl who plays WoW, And so I was like, all right, now I kind of had my target figured out who I wanted to ask to be the co-host. Now, how do you frame that? And I just basically went up to Freck and I said, hey, you want to be on a podcast? And her answer to me was, what's a podcast? And I'm like, perfect. And from then part of me wants to delete them, but I leave them up there. Our first couple episodes, we had no equipment. We had a USB ATT 2020 microphone, little condenser mic. Ooh. And we sat that in front of a single computer and hit record and proceeded to giggle like school kids for 30 minutes. Spent more time just trying to edit that out. And then just from there, from those, the mentality was never, let's see how far this goes. The mentality was never, hey, let's do 20 shows. Let's do 30 shows. The mentality since day one was, let's create a show and let's build a show and let's continue to invest in the show. Let's continue to get better at it and continue to build upon it. So we went from this little single microphone setup, and I kept thinking this isn't good enough. And I have that disease. And I think all podcasters have that disease where it's never good enough. And went from there and went and changed a lot of my podcasting also kind of flows along with the jobs that I've had. So I started working in a kind of a production type job, and they had a little really rinky dink put together old kind of studio there that actually sat beside 3 full cabinets of servers, which when you're doing an audio podcast by 3 full racks of servers that are just cranking out high fans, it's not good. So the most of our shows were just huge background fan noise throughout the entire show. And again, not good enough. And progressed to another position, and that place was actually cool because they actually let me set up a studio on premise. And this was it was really neat because it was a government defense contractor. And so we had it was a secure facility, and I had to get freck in all the time. It was awesome. And so I started bringing more equipment there, and I worked with a guy who I'd actually brought him over from my previous job, who was an audio engineer, and he kept throwing more stuff at me. You need to get this. You need to get this. And I would listen to him, and some of the advice he gave me was really, really, really good, and some of the advice he gave me was really, really, really not good. And I ended up I literally have a stack of equipment. It was over $1,000 worth of equipment that I don't even use because for a recorded podcast like we do, you don't need it. If I'm doing a live stage show, oh, son, I can pump out some sounds, but I don't need that. And I mean, I got condensers, I've got amps, I've got compressors. I have this entire stack full of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, great. In fact, one of the things, I tweeted a picture of it one day, and this is back in the days, if you don't know if you remember the Rarcast with Stompolina and Half Rot, back when they were around. I posted a picture of the setup that I had. And within like 5 seconds, I had a tweet back from Stompolina, and all she said was one word. She's like, overachiever. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much what that is right there. I never, that's a funny thing about that setup is I always took pictures of the front with all the pretty lights, and I never took pictures of the back. Because if I ever took pictures of the back, you would see that only 2 things were hooked up. Everything else was just plugged in for the power, and you get the lights on it. Because it just wasn't worth it. It was so convoluted. If the dude came over, the guy's name was Paul. If Paul ever came over to hook it up, awesome. It would work for like 2 weeks. And then I would hit something, and I wouldn't know what I did, and it would screw it up, and I'd unplug everything and just go back to a simple setup. So.
Oh, that's great.
But this is still when I was at that location. We moved from there. I decided basically with a personnel change at that location, they were going to put this gal who was a project manager who, quite frankly, I didn't trust. And she was going to move into where all my studio gear was because those have a shared office. And I didn't like that. And so I said, well, time to find a place that I'm not going to get evicted from, or if I ever change careers, I'm not going to have to move it with me. And we found the place. We've since moved, but you've been to the one that we were on the second floor of this building. Now we're on the first floor of the building that I'm in. And it's just a little 10 by 10 office suite. And we don't soundproof. We just put the Orlex on the walls. We kind of do the sound dampening so we get a good sound quality out of the room. But it's just a little 10 by 10 suite because we tried to do this podcast out of my house. And let me role play with me a little bit here, Cuddles. You're going to be Mrs. Root, okay? You know your role? You're Mrs. Root.
Hi, Root. What are you doing with your podcast in there? Are you back talking about the World of Warcraft again?
Suddenly I feel like my wife's name is Ethel. So okay.
I'm sorry,
Mrs. Root's here. Here goes the conversation. All right, ready? You're my wife. So, honey, Freckleface is going to come over tonight. We're going to go into the computer room. I'm going to close the door there. And I need you and the dog and the 2 kids to be absolutely silent for the next hour and a half. Got it? Cool. Not going to happen.
Nope.
It does not. I get the look like, oh, I'm going to pause my life for 2 hours? No.
Yep.
So, and I tend to man cave it up a little bit with all the WoW crap stuff, that I had got. And that wasn't happening either. So it was just easier logistically, politically, motivationally. Everything was just easier to actually get a little sweet away from everything else. And it's actually paid off in dividends. I actually get to do a lot of voice work out of here for, I don't know, I'm on like 6 or 10 different phone systems in the Orlando area.
Nice.
Press 1. Yeah. So it's cool to be able to come down here and do that and, throw a little profit out of the studio and not have to worry about, any of the equipment getting messed up or having a special place where at the house or anything else. But there are plenty of times when it's a challenge to actually get down here because I'm about 15 minutes from the house and it's up one kind of a busy road. And sometimes it's a challenge. You got to go, man, I got to go to the studio to do this. Not tonight. Tonight was fine. I was looking forward to it. but other times you're like, oh, man, can I put this off for a day? It'll be less traffic Saturday morning, whatever the case might be. And we have had issues with neighbors in this building because it's a 10 by 10 office space, which you're right against your neighbors. Yep. And there are churches in this building that play loud music. And we had an issue. This is why we moved to the first floor here because we're on the second floor. our church, we were like right up against our wall, was right up against another church or a church. And they play their music was so loud and the speakers were like so big. The sound system's like, it could be like in an auditorium or somewhere. Our walls were shaking. And I don't mean in the literal sense. I mean in the physical sense. These things were shaking, knocking stuff off the walls. And so we worked with the landlord team here, and they moved us down to a quieter spot. And we've been here a couple of months now, maybe maybe 2 months now, I think. Episode 300, I think, was our first episode in here. So, yeah, it's been cool. It's been a lot better. So a lot brighter space. Upstairs was kind of dark, and you see a lot of the pictures that I've posted from the studio are a little darker in nature, a lot of reds, a lot of purples. Now here it's nice and bright.
Yeah, it seems nice. It seems like you got a little bit more room. I like the behind you now.
Yeah, because before I had that big black utility blanket behind me.
And that's one of the things your podcast is, and one of the things that before I was able to like actually get the chance to meet you guys and come to the Orlando meetup and do some of the stuff that we've gotten to do together. One of the things that amazed me about your podcast and still does, because it hasn't stopped, is the sound quality of your podcast. I was like, these guys have got to be recording in a studio. Like these guys are sitting in a studio. They sound, you and Freck sound absolutely incredible. And I was amazed when I came into the office at how, I don't want to say how little you've done, because you've done a phenomenal job, but it was really incredible how little you've done and how great it sounds. Like, it's a testament to you having done it for 7 years.
We scaled back a lot because now we use the Focusrites, and that's just, we have the Focusrites, which are just input devices that go into a DAW, digital audio workstation, which is just Logic Pro. And the cool thing that it was a big transition, man. We did that transition. Again, it was Paul who pushed me into this transition, and I wanted to physically harm the man when we first made this transition because I was so used to having that physical board. And you're about to move into this. You're going to experience this beautifully, where you get to fine tune the audio exactly the way you want it to sound. And you get that fine tuning in, and you get that sweet spot, and it's perfect. Everything changes when you go digital, where you're more concerned about the sound after it's on the system. So now our recording process is we record, and before we edit, I go in and now I level everything individually, all the different tracks. So if Freck's on a track, I'm on a track. We have the soundboard track. If there's another person here, they have their own track. If we're importing Skype, they're on their own track. So everything's got its own track. So I get to level and balance all those tracks individually to get the sound. And I'm still working on it. And I got days that I'm like, this is perfect. And I'll save it as a template. Next time I come in here, something's different. So we're still working those kinks out. We've only had it a year. So
right on. Well, for what it's worth, I think you guys sound great. I know that's one of the things that you probably hear constantly. But one of the other things you probably hear constantly, and something that I wanted to bring up on the show, was, now your show is called Hearthcast, but it's not a Hearthstone podcast because you've been around for 7 years. So,
right.
So you were around before Hearthstone was even a thought, or I don't. Maybe it was a thought with somebody at Blizzard, but it wasn't out. So, how often do you have people either commenting or emailing you or saying something when they meet you? Oh, I thought you were a Hearthstone podcast when I first started listening.
It is not as much as you think. And I think maybe a little bit because, if you hit our logo, it doesn't look like a Hearthstone logo.
No.
So that's the first thing. If people actually go to the site, they know it's not. We introduce ourselves as a Blizzard podcast that we talk about everything in the Blizzard world, Blizzard universe. So we kind of try to differentiate ourselves from that. Now, interestingly enough, there are other shows that call themselves Hearthcast now. Mainly you'll find them on YouTube. And I'm like, at first I was bothered by that because I was worried about, they're breaking my brand. They're going to hurt me and all this other kind of nonsense, really. And it turned out to be nonsense because I said, well, I'm going to fight them and I'm going to send them a cease and desist to YouTube. I'm going to tell YouTube to take these people down. And YouTube said, great, just show us your trademark and we'll be glad to do that. I went, all right, cool. I'm going to go get a trademark. And then I went, wow, they want a lot of money for a trademark. And I was like, you know what? You guys can have that. It's pretty cool. No problem. And I actually sent them all messages and said, could you not do that? But it doesn't, most of the time it doesn't happen that people do confuse us because we do talk a lot about Hearthstone on the podcast. It's something that Freck really, really enjoys, something we are really into. We help out with the Florida Fireside Hearthstone gatherings. There's another one here, Shinobi's gathering that I've been trying to get out to here. I just haven't made it out there. We have another one coming up here in March. There's a con coming up that we are hosting a Hearthcast or Hearthstone. I did it myself there. Hearthstone tournament there. So we're involved with the Hearthstone community, but we aren't necessarily we're not a Hearthstone podcast because we talk about basically what our rule is as far as Blizzard games goes and how our podcast relates to those games. The unofficial rule is if there's a hearth in it, we'll talk about it. The other, because there's a hearth, you hearth in Heroes of the Storm. I don't know if there's a hearth in Hearthstone, but there's a Hearthstone because it's a game. There you go.
Yeah.
Diablo you port, but we're like, oh, maybe. So, ish.
We all play it for like 2 months out of the year when a new season comes
when
out.
New season starts, we go.
Everybody gets bored and stops playing it again.
I was talking with Freck earlier tonight, doing a sound check to make sure that Skype was working and everything. And bless her heart, she sounded horribly. She's ill. I don't mean sound. I mean that in the nicest sense. Yeah. She sounds horrible. No, but my stupid brain, I go, you know what? You sound like Marge's sister from The Simpsons, and she's hung up on me. So that didn't work out good. But I forgot what I was talking to say now.
That's so awesome. You sound like Patty and Selma. Oh.
I couldn't think of their names.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I totally lost my train of thought when I remembered that. So.
No, well, you touched on Hearthstone.
That's what it was. Yeah. Freck, when Freck with her being under the weather and not really being able to do a whole lot of work from home, she's gotten a lot of Diablo time in. So
nice. Got to get that seasonal character going.
Yeah.
That's what I have yet to log in. I was waiting for my friends to get high enough so they can power level me. And then I'll just go do some rifts and get some Paragon levels and, do that fun stuff. I've actually I'm embarrassed to say I've never played through actually played through it. I should probably do
Really?
that. I've only ever been power level.
Fantastic. Oh man, so good. So good.
Nice. Well, speaking of the Hearthstone gathering, little quick hello and howdy to somebody in the chat room. Mr. Squinty Eyes is the crazy Asian guy that was at the Hearthstone tournament. So hi, Squinty.
What's up, dude? So for a while it was thought that Squinty was actually putting on this other tournament. So
yes,
yeah.
Yes, he unfortunately I believe he works on Sundays during when the tournament is. So we were talking about that. We were able to have lunch, which that's really cool, and that's one of the things that I know we've kind of glossed over, but it's great. Root and Freckleface are actually from here in the same area as I am. I've been in their studio. I was actually able to guest on their show sitting in the same room with them, which was a really unique experience because they do not do a live show. And that's for somebody that does a live show to then sit and do a recorded show. It's so weird because all the little weird things that you say, all the awkward pauses when you say lim and zit ear, like
Those all go away magically.
Yeah, you just stop. Like, you have to cough and you can actually do it. It's great. Like, it's incredible. It's such a different experience. But they actually, Root and Freckleface host a second Friday of the month WoW get together at a place called Firkenkeglers. If anybody's listening that is in the Central Florida area, it's at Firkenkeglers out by the UCF campus.
They normally call it Firkin and Keglers, but whatever you want to call it, it's good.
What did I say?
Firkin Kegler.
Okay.
Instead of
Cool.
Firkin and Kegler. Well, if you look at it, everything is something and Kegler. So that's their whole branding thing. So, but
Okay.
it's in Waterford Lakes if you're in the area.
There you go.
Out by UCF.
Oh yeah, a whole lot of fun, great time. He's really involved with the Hearthstone community. I got to meet Garrett.
Yeah, from the Angry Chicken and from the other one, the Into the Nexus,
Yes,
and a lot of other shows on amove.tv. So
yes. So short little hello to them. But what now as Legion, as we're on the precipice, one of the things that we said we were going to talk about is how WoW has changed. So we're sitting in a unique moment here, poised on the edge of a new expansion. How are you feeling about Legion? Are you as in love with the game now as you were back in like BC and Kata and Wrath? Or how are you feeling about WoW today?
I am not one to ride a hype train. So I want to start off by saying that I get excited about things, but I don't buy a lot of that hype train stuff. That being said, I'm excited about Legion coming up. I'm excited about the simplification of the game. One of the things that we noticed when we were going through all these patch notes from way back in the alpha, and if you haven't done it, take the time to go read the old patch notes. It's hilarious. But the overarching theme of World of Warcraft, ever since they began this thing in beta, has been simplification. So they have this idea and this concept, and it starts off huge, and it gets implemented in a very huge manner, and then they start simplifying and simplifying and simplifying, and they just keep chiseling that down until it's very, very easy and very streamlined. And I'm seeing that same thing happening again into Legion. And there's some throwbacks. We're getting, some stuff that they took away from some characters, they're giving them back. Some stuff that characters got, they're taking away because they're starting to streamline it more. There's been a lot of homogenization of the characters, which I'm not really fond of. They went away from, they had this whole mantra of bring the player, not the class. And now they're like, no, you need the class, not the players. So there's that whole argument back and forth. It's getting, to me, in my opinion, it's turning even more now into a broader social game where you don't necessarily need your small, and I know this is horrible, you guys are CTR, but the guild, in my opinion, is one of those things that is just right now very fragile in the game. And I think, I don't know if I agree or disagree with the way the Blizzard is taking it, but they're making, it used to be like, people were dead serious about their guilds. I mean, it was, you got your guild name on your shirt. People have guild tattoos. And seriously, they do. I've seen them. And now it's just like, you just find someone in Group Finder, you get that done. Oh, you know what? We made that cross realm. You just find anybody. You can go on Open Raid or Zerg TV, whatever it's becoming now. Just go on there and they'll take care of you there. You just, Control I, open up the interface, find a group, start a group, whatever you want to do, just get it done. And while that is good for certain players, I think that it takes away from the closeness and the what's the word I'm looking for? It's just the bonding that people used to have in this game, I think, is starting to fail. And I think that is why people think the game is failing. It's not the game. The game is fantastic. The game engine is getting better. The game graphics are getting better. The game storyline is getting better. Everything there is emulating, getting tons better. But it's that bonding and that friendship that you had and developed over the years that may not be there for that player now. And that's what's missing out of the game. So it's not the game's fault. It's, you can stay in your guild. There's nothing that's going to pull you away from your guild. But if you have a smaller guild and 10 people in that small guild decide, you know what, I can get the same content done faster if I just do a random group and go pug this thing. Well, now your raid group just fell apart. And now what do you do? So I do think that coming into Legion, I think this is the time for the mega guilds to shine, and I think that is going to be a huge benefit for them.
Yeah. That's what I can, having come from a smaller guild, not having years of experience, but having a little bit of time in a smaller guild, I can say, there was, I don't know how many times I was doing exactly like you described. I was going to Open Raid. I was going to Group Finder. I was going, because there wasn't, and that's the hand up that AIE and CTR have right now, is you don't always have to do that. I popped in last night and wanted to do time walking. In my old guild over on Undermine, I would have been like, hey, who wants to do time walking? Nobody? Anybody?
So if you say Bueller.
Bueller. And it was literally, and so it got to the point where I stopped asking, and I was just going to Group Finder, and it got to the point where I was sitting there, and there was some other stuff that we won't even talk about that went on that I left, but I was thinking about it because I was wondering why I was in the guild, and that's the one thing that the mega guilds have right now is it's not even that it's a guild, it's that it's the community that you can hop in. I hopped in and was like, hey, I'm a DPS. I need time. Like, I'm a DPS that needs time walking. And I even posted, I was like, I boosted this rogue 26 hours ago. I have no idea what I'm doing.
We gotcha.
And I had a healer and another DPS and a tank go, no problem, hop on in. They carried me through.
Nice.
They carried me through some 4 kata dungeons. It was great. And I think for the general population, like I have a very unique experience in that, and the members of AIE and CTR both have that, and I think for the general populace right now it's Open Raid and it's hitting H, and going to Dungeon Finder, and going to pre-made groups, and it's such an awesome tool when you old timers talk about the good old days when you had to walk uphill both ways in the snow to get to Orgrimmar, and like. It's funny when we have to do the mythic dungeons, or we have to do, even the mythic dungeons. So the mythic dungeons, when you do them, you have to actually be there, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I had no idea these dungeons had entrances. I thought you pressed the button and just zoned into them.
What was worse is during Cataclysm, when you actually had to discover the entrance of the dungeon before you could actually teleport to the dungeon. So you could join a queue, but if you'd never been to that dungeon, if you'd never physically walked yourself up to that dungeon entrance and gone through the portal, you couldn't queue for that dungeon.
Oh.
And then, so here's the other part of that. So this is the flip side to it. You port to the dungeon, you're in the dungeon, you die, you come out, you res the spirit healer. How do you get back in? You have no idea where the entrance to the dungeon is.
Oh my gosh.
You're like, now what do I do? I got lost. I don't know how many groups I quit because I got lost.
I still do that now.
Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm at.
I was doing that all last night because these dungeons, like, I'd never been in them. Grim Batal, I'd never seen that before in my life. And then so we died to something, and I had to wait for somebody else to die so that I could see where they were flying.
And hope that's the right person. I mean, I remember getting lost trying to get back into ICC back in the day, going, I can't find the entrance to this place. And then you finally find the entrance, like, where is everybody? You look on your map, you're like, how are you standing above me? There's no, oh my God, you're like 5 stories above me.
Oh, that's great. So hold on. All right. So Erlina in the chat room has said 2 words, wetlands run.
Oh man.
What does this mean?
Okay. So the wetlands, that is down from Ironforge. This is over on your Lion side. Back in the day before they flooded it out, it was actually like a swampland area. And you would res back in the little town. I can't think of the name of the town right now in the wetlands, but everything was pretty much linear. So you left the town and you just went out. And the further you got away, the more, the levels of the raptors got up and everything. And then you would die. And if you wanted to res, you're way back over here. And you'd run it all the way back. It's just, I think that's what she's talking about. That's what I remember.
Oh, that sounds horrible. My
wetland stories when I was playing WoW wrong. I was I was playing WoW, and I mean to offend nobody. I was playing WoW like a Chinese gold farmer. So I kid you not. I was going out and I was killing raptors and farming raptors until the raptors were going to give. I wasn't questing. Screw questing. I wasn't doing any of that. I was leveling up by killing raptors and skinning them. I had bank though. And I'm like telling people like, how did you get like a whole level in like a week? And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, how many things you have to kill? Because I've killed like, I don't know, 500 raptors and I haven't gained but like two little, like, what are you doing quests? No. Why aren't you doing quests? Well, that's like an EverQuest thing. That's what we call it, an EverQuest, because that's all you ever did was quest. So I figured here in Warcraft, you didn't quest. So
That is awesome.
But I had bank, yo. I had bank.
Oh, I love it. And one other experience from the chat room. This actually sounds glorious. Squinty says, back in my day, we had to sit by the summoning stone for the dead mines and get ganked by max level hordes over and over as we waited an hour for a dungeon team made out of trade chat.
So, yeah,
dude, if I had to go to trade chat to find anything, there is nothing. Trade chat is a disease.
All right, so what Squinty is talking about, now, well, yours is H, mine's Control I, but you go into the group finder, you get a group, right? Random dungeon finder, you get it, it assembles it, you go. That used to be done at the meeting stone. You used to have to go to the meeting stones or outside of the dungeons and click on the meeting stone, and that's where you would start to assemble your group. Well, on a PvP server, all the higher ranking or leveled characters, they were there to gank you. Just like Squinty's, that's all it was. To combat that, WoW actually moved that feature to the innkeeper. So you would go talk to an innkeeper to queue up for your random dungeons. To build your ability. So it was called a whisper or rumor feature that they had.
Oh my lord! All right, we got one more because this also sounds horrible. Getting a night elf to Ironforge, where the only AH was at the time, boat from Rewt-ed to Minethil, then running all the way through the wetlands, Lochmadan, and Dunmorrow. Holy!
All the way uphill too. And that really wasn't uphill in the snow run, right? They're not kidding about that. Wow. And what they don't mention is the back in the day, this is another thing that's changed. Auction houses used to be unique to the cities. So your Ironforge had 2 auction houses, just auction houses in Ironforge. Stormwind, they had their own auction houses. Those 2 weren't connected. That's so incredible. All your capital cities, they had their own auction houses that were not connected. They worked inside the city, but Ironforge and Stormwind didn't talk. The Horde side didn't talk. Thunderbluff and Orgrimmar didn't talk to each other. They're all unique. And that was a long run too. You're going up the hills and hoping you're not going to get hit. But that's when there's a little tool tip on when you start up. And if you ever see it, it says stick to the path, basically is what it says. Creatures are less likely to attack you. That meant something back in the day when you used to have to do those long runs. Because it would suck, dude. So what people used to do way back in the day, also, there's nothing that changed, is if you died, you would just run and keep running while you were dead until you got to the next spirit healer and you would reset that spirit healer. Now it ports you back to, it doesn't work anymore. You go back to the closest one you died at. But back in the day, you could actually die. You would hope you would die because then you couldn't die again. You would turn the death effects off so everything looked normal, and you'd run to the next spirit healer that's closest to where you're trying to get to.
Oh my God. That's, what? Wow. I often say the only thing that I regret about playing World of Warcraft is that I didn't start earlier, but then I hear stories like that and I wonder if I would have kept playing or I would have just gotten horribly, horribly frustrated.
Well, the answer to that question is very simple. The answer to that question is depends who you're playing with at the time. If you were in a guild like CTR, none of that would have mattered. Everybody would have laughed at the same thing. So,
wow. And also Squinty, by the way, he says that I'm spoiled by my garrison. I will admit this, and I'm going to count on each and every one of you. Root, you're included.
All right.
When we get to Legion, because this whole making gold thing, I have no clue. Like all I have ever had is a garrison that I click on buttons and it just gives me stuff. Like I've never had to like farm for mats. I've never had to craft things and sell them. I have absolutely no clue how to make gold in this game because Legion has ruined it.
They didn't ruin it. They just made it super simple. That's all. But it's still basic economics. But I'll get you aside. We'll talk about it. I'll teach you all the basics of the auction house. You'll be good to go.
I have tried it, man. You know what I did last week? I played the auction house. So I went and bought 3 pets because this is going to be a good idea. Everybody makes big money off the pets. And yeah, no, I forgot to check. I forgot to check my resources first. So my auctioneer told me that these pets were a really good deal. No, somebody had just been listing them for like a month at like 4 times what they were actually worth. So I have 3 somethings that I paid 8,000 gold for, and they're maybe worth 2,500.
Yikes! So
took me out like 25k gold. I'm done.
So
although I have been selling Dust of Disappearance.
Yeah, which is
and
awesome.
Making bank, man.
All right, so I'm gonna give you a little hint here. It's a fun trick to do, and you're lying, so you'll appreciate it. It's in Ironforge.
Okay.
It's by the main bank. If you are facing the bank, and that's kind of if you're facing the bank back when Father Winter spawned, he spawned off to the right of the main bank there.
Okay.
So you're facing a bank. There's a tunnel on your left. If you go through that tunnel and you hang a left out of that tunnel, you go to like the second building. It's a tailor building. Okay. On the second floor of the tailor building, there's a little bald gnome, and he sells the pattern for the tuxedo shirt, pants, and jacket for like I think it is 40 silver a piece. You buy that and you throw them up on the auction house for 40 gold a piece, and they will sell like hotcakes. It is so simple to do. Yeah.
I'm in on this.
Now, the bigger tip for you, Cuddles, is whenever you're thinking about buying something on the auction house, don't trust what auctioneer says. You need to go check out the Undermine Journal, and you need to check out Wow Auction. Those 2 sites. Wow. That's Wow Auction, WOW, then U Auction. So it's like auction with a U. So Wow Auction and Undermine Journal. Both of those are going to give you all the stats that you absolutely need to make a proper decision on what you're going to buy.
See, that's what I got. I trusted my auctioneer, and I knew not to because I know about Undermine. And then I've gotten screwed on Undermine, like buying things that are deals.
Oh, dude, gotta be careful deals, man. You gotta be careful.
I'm bad at money. Like, this is the thing. This is where I need to get Cuddle Wife playing the game because she's good with money.
There you go.
So maybe she could just come play the auction house. She could be like my financial advisor in World of Warcraft. She can handle all my bills. Honey, I need 5,000 gold for raiding this week. Go make
it. Right. I can get that in a day in the auction house, but
get out on the corner, sweetheart.
I don't want to be one of those guys like, I corner the auction house. I heard that. I'm not gonna tell you said that though. I've seen her. She scares me. She beat me up. So
all 90 pounds of blonde hair.
That's right.
She's terrifying.
Yeah, but she does that Bruce Lee, that inch death punch that he does. I know she knows that move.
Yeah, she would. she would climb you like a spider monkey, sir. Oh, jeez.
Oh, wait a second. I got some information for Squinty. I got to get it off my phone real quick. Conjure Florida. It's just a Florida thing, so it's not just for Squinty. ConjureFlorida.com is a con that's coming up. Conjure. But it is a Saturday and a Sunday, but it's in March. So if you can get the day off there, Squinty, in March, I don't know if you can get a Sunday off there. They are having a Hearthstone tournament on Sunday, but the con is Saturday and Sunday. And it's going to be pretty much everything from cosplay to a lot of sci-fi people coming in. So it's going to be a cool thing. I'm going to be there. Amy from the Fireside Gatherings is going to be there. We're actually going to set up the Hearthstone tournament on Sunday. So we'll be there, run around the con the entire weekend.
Right on. There's a link in the chat room right now. Also a link on the screen for those watching on YouTube. I will have a link in the show notes for everybody else listening on the download. That actually sounds like a really good time. This is March 5th and 6th.
I think that's what it is. It's a Saturday and a Sunday. So
okay.
I think it is. Yeah, I think it's 5th and 6th.
So they're going to, oh my, wow. All right. So I'm going to say this wrong. Ditchin Lockman.
Sounds good enough.
The slightly Asian chick from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, yeah. She'll be there.
There's Sandeep from the Guild is going to be there.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
So I guess we're going to have a CTR meetup there then too, huh?
I think I'm gonna be at this thing. This sounds awesome. There's somebody from Face Off there. There's somebody from Historic Haunts. DJ Cylon. I don't even know who that is, but I love him already. Like, dude, your name is DJ Cylon. Like, respect, my friend. Wow. All right, that is very cool. So why don't we take this time and go ahead and dive into a few shout outs. If I can find a bumper for it. There's a sound I play here, and I'm going to find it while I'm talking. Welcome to live podcasting and play. And now it's time for shout outs.
All right, yeah, come on. Whoa, I mean, not come on, but yeah.
So, Root, do you have any shout outs, my friend?
Well, I would be amiss if I didn't give Freck a shout out. I know she's homesick, so missing her. Haven't seen her all week, and that's a rarity. So, I'd be amiss if I didn't do that. And want to give another. Don't even know if he's actually listening or not, but Diz the Warlock's been one of our regular listeners for like ever, and actually got a chance to meet him at BlizzCon, and that was like super cool. So, big shout outs to him too.
Right on. Well, I would like to first of all shout out to you, Mr. Root.
Aw.
Thank you so much. I know you're a busy guy.
I knew you were going to do that. As soon as I said, man, I should have done a shout out to Cuddles to start this with. He's going to get me on that.
You're okay. You're okay. They all know how you feel about me.
Is it? Oh, I'm sorry.
Earlier you called me your wife.
I did. Well, no.
We had a moment. We were role playing.
Did we stop role playing? Are you still my wife?
I don't know. We'll talk at the next meetup. Make sure you take out the trash.
Ethel, she's back.
Why can't you take out the trash, Root? Jeez, you're always in there podcasting with the door shut. What are you doing? I know what you're doing in there.
I can hear you.
I can hear you just... I know what's going on.
That's an audio cable issue. I'm trying to get that solved.
Exactly, right? So huge shout out to Root. You're one of the folks that I have enjoyed listening to your podcast, and I really look up to both you and Freck in this hobby, job, genre, whatever this thing is that we do. Y'all are truly professionals at doing it, and thank you for the opportunity to hang out with you guys and just kind of get to know you.
Thank you. It means a lot, man. I appreciate that.
Right on. Outside of that, shouts to everybody that showed up at the Central Florida meetup.
Woo! Well, that was fun.
Gosh, that was a great time. Shout out to Lady Pasha for showing me some love in her stream tonight. I definitely appreciate that, ma'am. If y'all don't know about Pasha CTR, go check out her stream. I tweet about her frequently. She's totes adorbs, and she raids Mythic, and she's just awesome. So big fan. And one thing I do want to mention is we just wrapped the last Central Florida meetup. And if you know anything about Cuddles, it's that he does not ever gently dip his feet into anything. So guess what? The next meetup is planned.
Nice.
Okay. All right. Hold on. We got to do this right. March 19th on the fields outside of Mosey in Tampa, Florida. The Bay Area Renaissance Festival at Mosey. Open weekends, February 6th through March 20th. 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. rain or shine. March 19th is Barbarian Brewfest. That's right, my friends. Come out to the final weekend of the Bay Area Renaissance Festival for a best beard competition, Bavarian market vendors, and all new craft beer and food tastings. There's also going to be the Florida State Archery Championship. Bows and arrows. Oh, my hunter friends, who will enter? Who will be brave enough? Wow, that was really ridiculously over the top. What I'm trying to say, guys, is March 19th, we're going to have another CTR Guild Central Florida meetup. at the Bay Area Renaissance Festival. Root and Freck have already said that they are excited and planning on coming out.
We're calling it FlizzCon, so just
let's do that. Let's do that. FlizzCon, and we're also wrapping this into a pre-existing CTR event structure called Rewt-ed.
Oh,
so
nice, very cool.
This is actually opening up a new wing. So we already have one wing of the Rewt-ed in Madison, Wisconsin. And now we got one down in Florida. So I went up to Madison this year. I expect some Wisconsinites down here this year. I promise the weather will be beautiful in March. Probably horribly hot.
Yeah.
It'll probably be 90 by then. But guys, this is the time of the show that I get down on my virtual knees and I beg and I plead with you to leave me some of those all-important 5-star iTunes reviews. So now remember, if you're going to leave 5 stars, this is the Game Case show. If you didn't like what I do here, remember, leave 2 stars for Stranglethorn Fish Shack, Lies and Tall Tales of Fishing in Warcraft. Your only Warcraft fishing podcast. That's 2 stars for Stranglethorn Fish Shack, or 5 stars for the Game Case. Leave us a thumbs up, subscribe, like, do whatever you do in all the places. You guys know how to do it. But Root, how can people find you on the internet?
Well, the easiest thing to do is just Google Hearthcast, and then you'll hit everything, all of our resources. I'm on Twitter at Hearthcast Root, Freck's at Hearthcast Freck. The show's at Hearthcast. You can go to the Facebook/Hearthcast. Just Google Hearthcast. We're there.
Right on. Right on. And guys, I've said this a couple times. Hearthcast is one of the shows that it's in my podcast feed. It's on my phone. I listen each and every week. And not just because I might bump into one of these guys at like Publix or something, and have to be responsible for, pulling out a piece of content that they went over the week before. But because their show really is at 302 episodes, you have to know, it's legit. It's a wonderful show. Go listen to it. Go check it out. Download them right now. And yeah, they're great people, and check it out. Also, that second Friday Warcraft meetup, and yeah, FlizzCon. So that's going to do it for episode 40. If you'd like to join our live audience and hang out in the chat room like Marissa, Erlina, Lady Pasha, Miss Noid, my wife, crap, she was in here.
Oh, no. We were both screwed.
I know, right? Squinty, the Alpharus, Tiber, or Freck did tonight. Guys, you can find us on twitch.tv/thegamecase at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time each and every Thursday night. I'd like to thank all of you for listening to episode 40 of The Game Case. You can find me on Twitter at Mullet863. You can find the show at The Game Case Show. You can download us on iTunes and Stitcher, catch recordings of the live show, or our tips, tricks, and kill videos at youtube.com/thegamecase, or find all of the things on the official site of The Game Case Show, thegamecase.com. And I think that's going to do it for tonight. Root, say bye.
See y'all. Thanks y'all for hanging out. It's a lot of fun.
Right on. Game Case out.
Thank you for joining us this week inside the Game Case. Please join us next week for more news, tips, and ramblings about the World of Warcraft. Game Case out.
World of the Warcraft.